I don't know. It depends on which schools you're at. Some schools have different apps than other schools.
Right. So I have kids in many, many schools, but let me look at Clever and see if I can come up with an exact.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hey, Olympia, how are you seeing us today? Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Myself?
No, Olympia.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my problem yesterday was I didn't know how to go to the screen you were talking about.
Okay.
I just saw your face the whole time.
Right. So I think what was going on, I'm going to guess, because we have no way of recreating that. I'm going to guess that maybe you were just staying on the current tab that you're on.
Oh yeah.
And maybe you hadn't opened another tab. And
That's correct.
I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about a little bit of navigation earlier today, because I think that it's something that other people could hear as well. Might be good for them. But I think that that's what the deal was. But the other thing too is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now, and you tell me whether or not you see my screen. Okay, hold on a minute. All right. Okay. Okay. Do you see my screen, Olympia? It says Google Classroom Basics.
Oh yeah.
Perfect. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that you're able to see the presentation. That's like the most important thing right now. I want to make sure that you see the presentation. Okay.
Yeah.
But just in terms of like tab navigation and windows and things like that, I'm going to talk about that this morning, because I think that we'll need to hear that.
Okay, so if I want to talk to you, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, but I'm getting some feedback. Hold on a minute. Helen, I'm going to mute you for a second.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Olympia, are you there? Olympia, you have to unmute yourself. Is Olympia still here? Oh, okay. Olympia, go ahead and unmute yourself. I think you're muted.
Okay, so if I want to ask you a question, do I ask it to the whole group, or can I just ask it to you?
So what you want to do is, oops, I didn't mean to stop. I want to present my screen again. Hold on, I'm going to show you. You're actually going to ask the whole group. And the reason for that, I can't necessarily stop. I've got a lot to go through today, because I'm going to try to go through what I went through yesterday, but with a little extra. But I do want to show you something. Do you know where the chat box is?
Right.
Okay, so you click on the chat.
Right.
Right, and that opens up on the right. And whoa, Alexander just sent. But what you do is you click in the box at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you type your message in.
Right.
Or your question, and then you just hit enter, and it just goes. Because I have someone who is actually following along and helping out, watching the chat for me.
Okay. So should I just write my name in there and my school right now, or what?
I'm gonna walk people through that in just a minute.
Okay.
There are gonna be some new people here today.
Right.
But also, yes, while we're having, we kind of lightweight decided as a group that we would have people do that, just kind of as a way to sign in, because we have no way of having you guys sign in.
Okay.
And honestly, we're just trying to keep track of numbers. We're not keeping track of people. Honestly, it's just we're like how many people are coming.
All right.
So we're just trying to we're kind of trying to keep track of that.
Okay. So should I unmute now? I mean, mute now?
Yes, you would. Yeah, go ahead and mute yourself now. Helen, did you think of one? You're muted, Helen. Sorry. You have to unmute yourself. Okay, let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Is in the future,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to
Whoa.
offer more of these kind of calendars for teaching.
You know what? That is a decision that's above my pay grade right now. So that's kind of up to other people. I'm hoping that we can. I think we're going to have to, and I think honestly, I'm probably going to have to at least hold office hours during spring break. I know we're not supposed to work during spring break. I get it. But a lot of people are going to have to get set up during spring break. So yeah, and they're going to have questions, and we don't want people to be left hanging.
The reason I ask is I work with a lot of teachers who, and myself, who don't even have some of the basic navigation tools, like you were just talking about tabs and such.
Right.
There's probably about maybe 20 things that are the basics that you have to know in order to use these tools. Does that seem so? If there ever was an opportunity for basic navigation, that would be fabulous.
I'm going to do tomorrow morning. I'm supposed to be doing docs and slides, but there's going to be a big part, a little bit of that, maybe a big part. That is Google Drive, kind of understanding and navigation. But after today's, can you just email me and tell me how that went or if you think that people would need more on navigation? I mean, I literally just prepared like one slide on navigation.
Okay.
So, but I would love your feedback on what you think other people need, because I've really had to kind of scale back a little bit and think a lot, because there are a lot of things that I do that I'm very quick at, and I don't think about it, and I have to stop and think. And that's been a little bit of a challenge. So,
Okay. Well, I'm
but
still very challenged, and I do it every day. But I'll start making a list.
okay, that would be great. That would really be helpful. Okay, I'm gonna look at the. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Helen. Let's see. Okay, so Alexander, you haven't decided. It looks like you haven't decided between Seesaw and Classroom yet. And I think you teach third grade. So, you could use either, honestly. Isn't the district expecting us to pull all these things that we are learning this week in place during our week off? So that I guess they are. I don't know. I just work here. I don't know. I'm setting up Google Classroom. Can't invite my students using their parents' email address. I tried also to join my class by sending them my class code, but that doesn't work either. Okay. So, Soledad, I'm just wondering, are you just kind of sending them the code, or are you also sending them like instructions on how to get to the site and what they need to do after that? Because that could be the issue. And also, Soledad, I'm wondering what grade you're teaching. And you can unmute your mic right now, because we only have 22 people in here. But
I teach fourth grade.
okay.
And-
Okay, so
and not all my students have tablets, so that's why I'm doing Google Classroom for them to join in their own home computer.
oh, okay. Well, once they join once, I mean, they're on with anything that can get onto internet, right?
Okay.
Because
So
it's
how do they
web-based.
join?
So I'm going to put up, I found it just last night. Hold on a minute. Okay. So we just, I just found it last night, but actually Google has this really great, nice little pictorial that says, oh, this is how you do it. You click here and you click here and you click here. So I'm going to be linking that in the resource, but I haven't done it yet. I just found it last night, right before I switched over and did something else.
And that will answer my question.
Yeah, I have that on my list of things to do. So I will definitely link that in. But that would be helpful, because just sending them the code, they're going to be like, well, I don't know what to do with this. So,
Right.
All right. Thanks, Soledad. Just go ahead and mute your mic.
Okay.
Jean, you can call me Yoda. That's totally fine. very basic stuff, different from the ones that need more advanced. Do you mean for teachers, right? I'm guessing not just for kids. I just so you know, I'm going to try to go a little bit more slow. I'm going to go slower today because I feel like there's a need for that. So I hope that helps, but we're working to create things as quickly as possible. But it's taking a little more time. Let's see. Regarding Seesaw, I'm currently trying to get in touch with Seesaw's accommodations. Oh, okay. Yes, Helen is in sped. Good morning, Josephina. Set up for Zern and going to be for Alexandra. Interesting. Seesaw allowed me to use. Someone wants to join. Oh, I know Patty. Okay. I'm hoping this works. Just need to make sure. Code. Oh, okay, Jean. I'm going to go through that in just a second. Hold on to your question, but just go ahead and put your question in the chat right now. Because what time is it? Is it time yet? Oh, it's almost time. All right. Let's see here. I'm just checking to see who else here. Okay. Oh, this is totally funny. Google has just told me that there are a lot of people here. That cracks me up. Yes, there are 31 of you here. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to answer some questions real quick before I get started. Set up Google Classroom as well. Tried to invite the parents to join via email, but okay, Sylvia. So I'm going to explain this right now. No, people who do not have WCC USD emails cannot join. Not at all. They have to have a wccschools.org email address or a wccusd.net email address. You sent them the code to join, but so far only have one student that has joined. Okay, I'm going to talk about that today. Thank you for asking. How do you navigate it? How do I attach documents? Okay, I'm going to be talking about that today. TK, okay, so Sylvia, I really want you to consider, instead of using Google Classroom, I really feel very strongly that you should use Seesaw instead. There is a Seesaw training today at 11:30 with Darcy Long, who is also an EdTech coach. She's fantastic. I really think that Seesaw is better for TK. Absolutely. Mina, I'm sorry, I did answer that. I think they are, but again, I don't make those decisions. Someone else does, in terms of whether or not they're expecting you to work during spring break. Good morning, Leonore. How do I put up RAS plus reading material? Okay, we'll talk about that. Hey, John. Hey, John, you're here. How can grades be attached to an assignment? Okay, I'm going to try to get to that, Raymond. We need to get through some basic things first. Hope everyone's doing well during this crisis. Please show us how a student can create a Word document. Okay, I'll do that. That's going to be, if I don't make it through that today, that's going to have to be on Friday. Good morning, Mary. Susan, SNP, you know what? That might be a better question for the 10 to 11 o'clock office hours. Actually, that's actually a much better question for that. Okay. All righty. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and present my screen. And if you're not already muted, if you could go ahead and mute, that would be great. I'm going to talk about a couple of things in terms of getting through this together. Okay. So, welcome to Google Classroom Basics. I am going to be slowing this down a little bit because yesterday I didn't slow it down enough, but there are some other things that I need to get to. I want to tell you, if I don't get to those other things, that is what I'm going to cover on Friday morning. So tomorrow morning, I'm actually doing it's Google Drive, Google Docs, and Google Slides, but it all has to do with how you can use them in this kind of environment, right? Remote learning. So Google Classroom Basics. I have the bit.ly in the bottom left-hand corner. You can see that right there. I've actually put it on every single slide this time. Oops. So maybe not every single slide, but I have it there. Yikes, what's going on? I don't want to do this. Hold on a minute. I put it on because people were asking for it. I do find that sometimes people get lost in the navigation when they open this up in another window and then they're not following along with the presentation because they haven't split their screen or whatever. So that's there. That's for you. If everyone could please mute their mics, that would be great. I'd appreciate that. Let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to start off with a short tour of where we are right now. You're here. Of course, you see a little more than that, right? You see people along the side, possibly. Maybe you see this toolbar at the bottom. If you don't see this toolbar at the bottom, all you have to do is move your cursor downwards or click on the big screen, and then you'll see that toolbar. And that on this toolbar, we have things like the mic. When it's red, it's off. When the camera is red, it is off. So make sure right now that you mute your mic. Okay, that's really important right now so we don't get any background noise. Okay, so this is how you're going to ask a question and see like who's here. So if you click on the little picture of the people, that's how you see who's in the meet. If you click on the chat box, which is a square speech bubble, that's where you're going to put your questions. And then all the way to the right, you see you. Now, if your camera is on, you're going to see you. If it's off, then you're going to see your icon or you're going to see an initial, okay? So to ask a question, this is what you do. You click on the chat. It opens a box on the side. And at the very bottom of the box, that's where you actually type in your question. And you hit enter to send it. So I'm going to be stopping occasionally to answer questions as I go. So right now, what I'd like you to do is open the chat, and I'd like to type in, you don't have to type in your name because your name is already there. Type in your school and your grade level or your subject if you're secondary. So go ahead and do that right now. Great, I see them coming in, very exciting. So I'm just gonna say something, I'm not trying to kick people out or anything, but I really want to suggest that if you teach kindergarten, first or second, that you attend Darcy's training on Seesaw, which is today at 11:30. Seesaw is more like a Google Classroom that's a little bit easier for the littles to navigate. So you should definitely check that out if you're teaching grades K through 2. Now, if you think your kids can do this, great. It's really hard for the kids, though, who can't read, so or not reading yet. So yes, Susan, this is actually being recorded right this minute. I keep checking to make sure. So just keep that in mind. Seesaw is another platform that you can use for this kind of situation, okay? And that training is on Wednesday, and there's one on Wednesday, and there's one on Friday, and they're both at 11:30. I may have said the wrong time, but check the schedule. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you is that if you click on the 3 dots on that same toolbar and you click on change layout, you can change the way you're seeing your screen. I like to keep mine on auto. And what auto does is it keeps the person who's talking or their presentation in the middle at all times. And then I see other people on the right, but I only see like 3 people on the right. So I'm not seeing everyone all at once. So that's that. I'm going to check the chat real quick just to make sure. Seesaw will be recorded too. All of these are being recorded. Sometimes the recording turns off for whatever reason. So I'm not promising anything on that. But generally they've been okay. So far, so good. Okay, great. We've got a lot of people in here. We got 68 people in here from a lot of different grade levels. And a lot of different schools, which is very exciting. So we have some norms for today. The first one is please mute your mic. I just showed you how to do that. So make sure your mic is muted. If you have a question, please type it into the chat. And we're all going to embrace the struggle. So we're going to keep in mind that we're embracing the struggle. You're embracing the struggle. We're embracing the struggle together. We are going to win. Let me tell you, this has been very different and exciting, and no one expected it. But embrace that struggle because it's definitely real. Be flexible with yourself and with others for sure. And take care of yourself. That's the most important thing, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. Oh, the 3 dots. Okay, the 3 dots are on the toolbar that's at the bottom of the screen. If you don't see those 3 dots, that means you can't see that toolbar. It kind of pops in and out. What you want to do is either move your cursor down toward the bottom of your screen to be able to see it, see that toolbar and the 3 dots, or you need to click on the actual screen itself, right in the middle, and then that toolbar will come up. How to change layout. Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to change layout. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to go back. You're going to see yourselves in some cases, maybe not. Okay, and what you do is you see down at the bottom here, I don't know why it looks weird. There are 3 dots. I don't know why this looks so weird, but there's 3 dots over here somewhere. I don't know why, for some reason, this has decided to come up and stay up like this. But did you notice if I click in the middle of the screen or if I move, it comes up. So it kind of pops in and out. I click on the 3 dots and then I click on change layout. Okay. And like I said, I keep mine on auto. And what that does is it does sidebar, basically, with the person who's talking the most or their presentation in the middle. So in that case, that's me. I'm talking the most, and you're also seeing my presentation. So sometimes you have to kind of play with it to get that toolbar to appear. Okay. Sidebar is default. Yes, that's right. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my presentation. All right. I'm going to look at the chat real quick. Just checking. Okay. Oh, Cicely's here. Good. Cicely's here, and she's going to be answering your questions as she can. Cicely, if you could just do me a favor and make sure that the record button, just check occasionally, make sure the record button in the upper left-hand corner is still on. I had a problem today. Had a big problem yesterday. Okay. Breezy, the bit.ly is right there on the screen. You can just type it in. So I'll put it here though. bit.ly WCCG classroom 1. Okay, great. All right, next, here we go. All right, so I had to really think about some things yesterday. I wanted to talk about some vocabulary that I use a lot. These are things I use constantly, and I realized that maybe some people didn't really understand what was going on. So this is what I want to share with you very simply. What you're looking at right now is a window, okay? And you could have windows that are open behind it. But right now, I'm just going to talk about the window that you have open right now. If you look all the way to the top, you see parts that are sticking out, kind of like file folders. And so those are called tabs. We call those tabs. And you may or may not have a couple of tabs open right now. But if you want to open a new tab, you click on the plus sign. If you want to close a tab, you click on the X of that tab, the X that's on that tab. Okay. So that's how you close the tab. I use tab a lot. I talk about it all the time. So on the right side of that top part of your window, okay, I had to split these pictures up. The big, like kind of long skinny box, that's where you type in like your search or the URL. That's called the Omni box. And the reason why it's called the Omni box is because you can use it for many things. You can type in your search terms, you can type in a question, you can type in the URL if you know it. And to the right of that, you probably have a couple of these. One of them is the blue or the white C on a blue background. That's clever. Those are all what are called extensions. Some people have a lot of them. Some people have not many, but those are what are called extensions. So when I talk about, a lot of times I talk about tab, I talk about Omnibox, and I talk about extensions. So now you have an idea. I don't know if I hope that helps you a little bit with understanding me and with understanding navigation. Okay, so we're going to talk about how you access Classroom. So there are 3 different ways to access Classroom. I use one and I use it all the time. And that is basically that I always type in the URL, okay? Up in the Omni box, I type in classroom.google.com. You can also use the waffle. The waffle appears on the Google search page, but you can also go through Clever. So any of these 3 will work. Any of these 3 will work for students as well. And I'm not going to go through like all the information, but it's pretty simple. It does help to be logged into Chrome. I'm going to go back for a second. Very quickly, I just want to show you. You know that you're logged into Chrome if you see your picture in the upper right-hand corner of the window, or you see an initial, or you see any kind of icon that you may have set. So that's how you know that you're logged into Chrome. All right. So I'm going to talk about what you do to create a class. So that's the first thing, okay? You're going to create a class. Just watch what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and demo this. So I'm going to open a new tab. That's all the way up on the top. I'm going to click on new tab. Now, this time I'm going to go ahead and use the waffle because it's there. Here's the waffle. I'm going to click on the waffle, and I'm going to click on Classroom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the plus sign. Okay. That's how you create or join a class. So this is the exact same plus sign that your students are going to click on to join your class. Now, when you click on the plus sign, if you do not see create class, you need to email me directly, lroberts@wccusd.net, so that I can make sure that you can get in and create a class. Right now, I'm going to show you how that gets done. So I'm going to click on create class. Now, the only thing in all these boxes is the class name. That's the only thing. And someone asked yesterday, good question, can you change the name of the class later? Absolutely. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, how you would do that. But you're going to put in your class name and you're going to be as specific as possible. So I'm going to put in Google Classroom Practice. I'm sure you've noticed I have a couple of classrooms called Practice that I need to get rid of. But Google Classroom Practice for April. I can't believe it's April, but March was the longest month ever. Okay. For April 1st, 2020. If you teach secondary and have a section number, go ahead and put the section number. If you teach secondary and it's for a specific subject, put the subject in there. And I say this especially for secondary because your students may be in, 5 different Google Classrooms at once, especially now, because all the teachers are going to be using it. So you want to be as specific as possible. It could be that, you teach Spanish 1, so you might want to put in your name for the class name, your name, and Spanish 1, and the school year as well. Be as specific as possible. And you might want to put in the room too, but I'm just going to leave those blank for now. I'm going to click on create. And waiting. It's going to take a second. I'm going to look at the questions real quick. Yes, Olympia, you're supposed to see your tabs at the top of your screen. So I know it's confusing because you're seeing my screen, but you're seeing my screen within your window. Okay, let's see. Uh-oh, what happened? Go back. How do you move the sidebar out of the way so you can see the full screen? You can just close the chat. That should help. Oh, the people, you have to actually completely change how you see the screen. So you would go down to the 3 dots, click on change layout, and I think there's one where you just see the big screen. Is it possible to create groups for different instructions? It's not really, I don't think it's creating groups, but you can assign things to different kids. How do you set up a pretty picture like Cicely if you're not using your camera to replace the letter icon? Ooh, Alexandra, come to office hours and I'll answer that for you. Should we? No, Susan, if you feel comfortable doing that right now, then I would. But that would mean a little bit of moving around a lot. So right now, just wait because all the instructions are available to you on the presentation. I'm probably not going to give you a chance to go back and do it right now or today. How do you add the classroom icon to your toolbar as an extension? So Andrew, all you have to do is in a new tab, you're going to just search Google Classroom extension and then add it to Chrome. That's it. Okay, so I've created my classroom. Here it is, Google Classroom Practice for April 1st, 2020. Great, done. Okay, simple. Now I'm going to go through a couple of things real quick. Let me just make sure I'm on track. Let's see. Okay, so just so you know, in the presentation, there is a slide that kind of gives you the visual of what it looks like. And then the next slide is giving you all the words. Same instructions, just a different way of delivering them. Okay, so I'm going to give you a really quick tour of what this looks like. Someone was asking earlier about navigating Google Classroom. So I think it's very important that I show you all the different pieces of it right now. Not all of them, just very simple, really quick tour. First thing is the first page is called the stream. What the stream does is kind of gives a summary of what's going on in the rest of the classroom. So it could be that you create an assignment, you assign it, and there will be a little notification on this page. So it's sort of like this is where all the notifications go. The only thing that you're going to create on this page is an announcement. That's it. That's all you can do. So that's right here. It says share something with your class. I'm going to click there and say, welcome. Notice. Raymond, notice. I just want to show you. This says all students here. If I click here, it says all students. If I unclick, right now I don't have any students in here. But if I had students in here, I would see a whole list of all the students in this classroom with checkboxes next to them. So I could send, for instance, something saying, reminder, you haven't turned in your, study trip, whatever. That's of course when we get back. But you haven't turned in this assignment and it's due tomorrow. And you could just send that to the kids who hadn't turned it in yet. Okay. So just so you know, that's how you differentiate is you choose which kids are going to get this information. So I'm just creating really quickly just a welcome message and I click on post. I can add stuff to this if I want to add a Google Drive link, a Google Drive document, a link, a file, or a YouTube video. And what I can do too, and this is with everything, including assignments, if I click on the little caret, I can post it now, I can schedule it, or I can save the draft. So schedule it for 2 weeks from now. I can totally do that. And that's the same with all assignments. So I'm just going to click on post and there it is. Very simple. Okay. So that's the stream. Classwork. Classwork is where everything happens. Someone just joined who is not muted. Make sure you mute your mic, please. Okay. So this is where you assign your work. So you create assignments and questions here, and you can use topics to organize all of that. And you can order them also. The topics and the ordering stuff, I'm going to talk about later. Okay. Like later as in Friday later. But right now I want to talk about creating assignments and questions really quickly. This is where this happens. Okay. Also, when you create a Google Classroom, it automatically creates a folder in your Google Drive where all the work goes. And for every single Google Classroom you have a different Google Classroom folder, okay? There's just, and I'm going to show you what that means right here. This is a link to your class drive folder. So here's my class drive folder. There's nothing in it because I haven't assigned anything and I haven't received anything back, okay? But I'm going to show you, I'm going to go backwards here. This is Google Drive that I'm in right now. I'm going to click on Classroom. And you will see all the Google Classrooms that I've ever been involved in. I really need to clean this up. But every single one of these folders represents a different classroom, a different Google Classroom. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that and go back to where I was. So also, it's all set up with Google Calendar too. So if you and your students use Google Calendar, what's great is it will actually put, this assignment is due on this day, okay? So that's really helpful if you and your students use Google Classroom. People, I don't have any people in here. Students, right? I don't have any students in here right now. And teachers, you can add teachers. This is a great way to share assignments amongst yourselves. If you're in a situation like a whole subject matter group or a top, department, or maybe a grade level group could share could share with each other their Google Classrooms so that they could share the assignments amongst each other, which is a really great way to collaborate. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. I'm going to show you how to invite teachers, because this is actually something that's important. You may want to invite a colleague, could be a colleague somewhere else in the district, but they have to be in the district. But the other person you might want to invite is your administrator, because I know, your administrator comes into your actual classroom when you're teaching live. So this is sort of that same sort of thing. So I'm going to click on invite teachers. Doesn't have to be a teacher. It could just be someone here at WCCUSD. And I'm going to type in C because I'm going to look for Cicely. Cicely, I'm going to add you. And there she is, Cicely Day. I'm going to go ahead and click there. If for some reason the person doesn't come up in search results, you probably need to check their email address. So I'm going to click on invite. And what she's going to get, show you real quick. What she'll get is it will look just like this. It'll be a box like this. And down here in the lower part of the box, it will say accept or decline. And she's either going to accept or decline that. Okay, I'm going to go back into the Google Classroom here. Okay, I'm going to check. Questions, burning questions. Slow down. I'm trying to, there's just so much I have to go through and I only have an hour. Okay.
Oh, you see it? There was a question on, can you share a picture? Can you post a picture without having an attachment? I wasn't sure.
You have to, you mean just post the picture?
Yeah.
You have to attach it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's not an automatic thing. It's not set up like that. You actually have to attach the picture. Let's see. Going back. 3 dots to, oh, whoops, I went back too far. Thank you, Cicely, for answering questions. Okay, let's see. Possible to create your, okay. Set up a pretty picture. Do this now. Okay, I went back too far. Sorry, guys. Kelly, if you're unable to see my shared screen, I want you to click on people in the upper right-hand corner and just make sure that you click on, you're going to see me in there 3 times because I'm using 2 computers, but you want to click on the one that says Laurie presentation. And then you should be able to see it. I hope. Oh, thanks, Ted. Ted jumped in and answered that. Post, pick, and stream or in classwork. That's really up to how you're doing it. Are you just posting a picture to say hi as an announcement, or is it part of an assignment? So that's what you have to consider, because if you're just doing it as an announcement, then yeah, you're just going to put it directly into the stream. But if it's part of an assignment or part of something that the kids need to look at, that's a resource, then you're going to put it as an assignment. Okay. So, and yes, Mary Jane, yeah, assignments show up in the stream too, just a very short little blurb about them generally. So let me go back to here. So we've done our little quick tour. So far, so good. Okay, I talked about classwork and I talked about people. I didn't talk about the grades page because I have nothing to show you there. But yes, you can actually look at work, and this is how you're going to be doing it from now on, looking at work and grading it through Google Classroom. And yes, I am going to have to talk about that on Friday. Okay. So add a co-teacher. This explains everything I just did in terms of adding. When I added Cicely, I added her as a co-teacher. You can also do this with your admin. Just remember that they have to have a WCCUSD account. So that's how you go ahead and add people to your classroom. Okay, so I really want to talk about this. This is really important, and this is something that oftentimes gets lost in the shuffle. Adjusting the settings. There are default settings that are in Google Classroom. And what I often see teachers do is they set up their Google Classroom and then they open it up to the kids and chaos ensues because the kids have found how they can start a chat stream and they're all just having conversations with each other. So I'm going to talk about how you change those settings. So I'm going to go back to the Google Classroom. So hang on a second. So here I am. I'm going to go and click on my Google Classroom practice for today. Okay. And I'm going to look for the settings cog in the upper right-hand corner, or gear, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And these are my classroom settings. So the first thing I see are the details, right? The class name. Here I can add a class description. I couldn't do that before. The section, the room, the subject, I can add all those in now if I want to. But the class name, this is where I can change it if I want. Okay. If I make any changes at all to this page, the save button is in the upper right-hand corner. Okay. So, and you want to make sure that you click on that before you close it out. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit to general. There are a couple of very important things here. One is the class code. That's how kids get in. It's like a key. Okay. And you have to give them that key in order to be allowed into your classroom. So if I click here, this little arrow, this caret, we call it a caret, C-A-R-E-T, by the way. I can see, I can either display it really large. Now this, of course, you would be doing in a regular classroom, but hey, next year, right, people? So that's the code. It's always lowercase letters, just so you know, always lowercase letters. And sometimes they throw some numbers in there too. If I don't like that code because it looks too confusing, I can reset it. I can reset it as many times as I want. I can disable it if I'm closing the classroom and I don't want anyone in there anymore. Or I can copy it and paste it into an email to my students. So this is what's really important here is on the stream. Right now, the default, I don't know why this is the default. The default is students can post and comment. I don't know why that's the default. That means that students can create their own announcement on stream. Of course, everyone's going to see it. And then they can also comment on them too. If this is your very first Google Classroom, and I'm going to guess that it might be, you're going to click on that caret. And I suggest choosing only teachers can post or comment because you may feel comfortable enough just to be giving them work and collecting work through Google Classroom. This does not need to be a conversation forum. If later on you want to change that, you can. That's not a problem. But when you first start out, if you're going to focus the kids in on seeing their work, completing their work, and turning their work in, then you really need to click on only teachers can post or comment. If you do students can only comment, that means that students cannot start their own like announcement in the stream, but they can comment. So you could ask a question and they could comment. So it just depends on how comfortable you are. So I'm going to change that to only teachers can post or comment. Then classwork on the stream, this is where you can decide how the kids will see on the stream all of your assignments. So you can have it show condensed notifications. That's the default. I would leave it like that. Show attachments and details is going to show everything about the assignment right there in the stream. You want to kind of keep that short and sweet. So I'm going to leave that default, show condensed notifications. I definitely don't want to hide the notifications. You can do show deleted items. I don't do that. And guardian summaries I want to talk about very quickly. Once you have students in, the parents can get a guardian summary. I'm going to click on show example. This is all the information about it. But basically, this is what it looks like. They get an email that gives them a weekly summary. Okay. Stuff that was missing, stuff that's due next week. So class activity, but they're not really going to see, they're not going to be able to see everything. They're not going to be able to see if you put up like a video that you wanted the kids to watch and answer questions about. They're not going to be able to see the video. So just so you know, it's pretty basic. Okay. But it's good information and a lot of parents appreciate that. So you can turn that on or off, but that means that you also have to provide an email address for the guardian. The guardian does not need to have a Gmail address, be anything. Okay, and then there's stuff about grade calculation, categories. I'm not going to go through that right now. All right, checking the time. So I have a half an hour. Good. This is good. I'm going to go through the questions real quick. Cicely, what you got?
Brenda has a concern that her students will come across the same problem. She tried to get her daughter to get into her classroom, but she on her personal tablet, but she couldn't get in. My question was going to be to Brenda: is her daughter in the same district? Because I know sometimes they will not let people from other school districts in your classroom.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So that was going to be my question for her.
My other question was what kind of tablet? I mean, if the student is using an iPad, they can download the iPad app and get in that way.
Yeah.
John, you asked if the process selecting the stream, etc., have to be done with each class. Yeah, every time you set up a classroom, a Google Classroom, yes, you have to do that. I don't think there's a way to copy and paste an entire Google Classroom. You can do that with assignments. Cicely, do you know if you can copy and paste an entire classroom? I don't think you can. That's a good question. Let me look.
Copy and paste. Oh.
You know, an entire classroom. I'm going to just go back.
I thought at one point you could duplicate it.
Let me look.
But they might have copy.
Oh, you can copy. Yeah, actually, you can copy and paste. So if you set up a Google Classroom and you really like the settings, you can copy it. And so thank you, John, for asking that question, because I actually didn't know. They're changing things all the time. Yes.
Just remember to rename each class so it has a unique identifier.
Yes, you have. Yeah, thank you, Ted. You have to remember to rename each class, though. Okay, so you can copy and paste it, but if you just copy and paste it, it's going to just say copy of. So you want to make sure you rename it.
And then Clifford had, what advice do you give if a student does not show up?
I'm going to ask if you're in touch with a student in other ways. Because, first of all, you have to be in touch with the kids, to be able to see, whether to even send them the code so they can get into the classroom.
And then there was another question about grades. Is there any way to keep non-graded practice assignments out of the grade book?
Yeah, you just don't. I think there must be. I'd have to check on that. See,
I can answer that.
I don't. Oh, go ahead, Ted.
So basically what you do is in your classwork, if you're assigning something, you just go to where the points is and you just put it as ungraded.
Ah, right.
It'll still be in the grade book itself, but it's ungraded. So it's either turned in or missing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So we do that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and right now that's probably going to be happening a lot.
Right.
Okay. So we talked about adjusting the settings. I want to talk about getting your students into the class. So yeah. You need to have your class code. I saw that someone asked, how do you get a class code? As soon as you create a Google Classroom, it goes ahead and creates a code for it immediately. So every single Google Classroom has a class code. I'm going to show you really quickly. Actually, when you go onto the stream, as soon as you open that Google Classroom, there it is. The class code is right here, right underneath the name. Okay. If you click on the little box next to it, it makes it big again. Okay. So every single, it used to be that you kind of had to dig for the class code, but now it's really obvious. So it's right there, right at the top. So go back here. So to have students join the classroom, and I have to insert, there's a really great link from Google about how students get in. You can have the students go to Classroom via Clever or the Classroom website, okay, like you just did, or they can use the waffle. And if a student has never used Classroom, they have to click Student. So it comes up, there are two choices, student or teacher. If they try to get in as a teacher, I deny them, and then they are left not being in classroom. So that's something to consider. They really need to say that they're students. And to join their join the class, they're going to do exactly what I showed you, which is clicking the plus and clicking on join class, and then they're going to put in the code. All right. Let's see. Okay, we're going to talk about classroom posts. And I think I have just, so classroom posts are basically assignments. Sometimes they're assigned, sometimes they're ungraded, so on and so forth. And basically the way it works, there are 4 different kinds of posts. There's an assignment, which can be a lot of different things. There's a quiz assignment where you create a quiz. There's just a question, so you can ask a question and then they answer. And then there's material. So that would be any kind of resources that you don't want to attach an actual assignment to. And what you can do with every single assignment is that you can attach something that you already have. So something you've created in Google Drive, or a link to a different website, or a file that you have on your computer already, or a YouTube video, or you can just go ahead and create it right then and there from Google Drive. So let me go through, I'm going to go through that right now. So I think I said this already. I cannot create an assignment from the stream page. I have to go to classwork. So I'm going to click on classwork. Okay. And I'm going to click on create. Now this is where that box comes up. I can create an assignment, quiz assignment, a question, or material. I'm going to start with question because it's the simplest one. So I type in my question. How are you doing today? Question mark. What do I want to get from them? Do I want to get a multiple choice answer, or do I want a short answer? So I'm going to say multiple choice just for fun. And I'm going to put in option 1. I'm going to say, I'm great. I'm good. I'm okay. I'm struggling a little. By the way, you're going to be the only person who sees this, the answers. Now you can add little pictures if you want. You know, you can add something that you've seen online that you've saved on your computer, or you put into Google Drive, or you can go ahead and create something too. But this is just a very simple question. I'm going to leave it simple. If I want to put instructions up here, I can. Optional. So when you have a lot of different classrooms, so John, it sounds like you're going to have a few different classrooms. Maybe you create a question that you want to ask all of them. What's great about this now, the new Google Classroom, is so much better than it used to be, is that I can go ahead and give it to more than one of the classrooms. So I'm going to say, I'm going to give it to these 3 classes. Great. And then I'm going to look and see, and that's just automatically going to go to all students. If I wanted to leave it with just my class that I'm in right now, and I click all students, I don't have anyone in there, but you would see a list of my students if I had them. Here's where I put in points. Hey, this is an emotional check-in. I'm going to call it ungraded. And I'm going to say my due date. Now this would be a great way to check in with kids, right? And see if they're checking their Google Classroom on the day that they're supposed to be checking it. You could just say that it's due today. And you can put in a time, 11:59 p.m., because who knows when these kids are doing work now, right? I don't have any topics set up yet. That's something I'm going to be talking about on Friday. I'm going to click on this. I don't want the students to see the class summary. I want to keep that personal. Okay, so I uncheck that so the kids can't see it. Now, if it said students can see class summary, they would just see like a pie chart or a bar graph. I'm not even sure what they get, but they're not going to see names. Okay, so I'm going to click on ask. Now again, click on the caret to see what are my choices. I can ask it now, I can schedule it, or I can save it as a draft. So I'm not ready to schedule it. I'm not ready to assign it at all, but I want to go back and work on it again. I can save it as a draft. I'm going to go ahead and click on ask. And I'm sure someone has already asked, how do I see this as a student? You know what? Google hasn't figured this out yet for whatever reason. People keep asking them. They haven't figured it out. But what I always do is I get a student, one of my students' usernames and passwords, and just log in as them on a different tab. So that's the only way that you can see it. So there's the how are you doing today? Great. That's it on that one. So that's a question. I'm going to check the chat real quick. Looks like there hasn't been much.
There was a question about using the app. I suggested to Stephanie to use the app on her phone to down, I guess, to put up pictures.
Yeah.
And then is there a way to know student activity if they check the assignment, opened it?
I believe there is a way. Ted, can you answer that question for me?
So basically, what happens is yes, if they're doing work on something that you've assigned, if it's a Google Doc or a PDF or anything like that, and you've asked them to do work on it, you can see their progress. And actually, you can give feedback as they're going along. And what you have to be very careful about is the feedback needs to be on the document, then they'll see it right away. If you put it in the comments, they won't see it until you return it. So there's a big thing, you have to be very careful about how you give the feedback. But my kids really like the feedback, and you can see because I get all my notifications and I can see who has clicked on the feedback and who has answered, and they ask good questions all along, and it's a good way to just keep up with what's going on.
That's great.
There was another question. Is one able to change point value to ungraded after the fact?
Yes.
Grade the assignment.
I will show that right now. So here I am in my question, right? It's ungraded right now. If I click on the 3 dots here and click on edit. So by the way, I'm lovingly calling this the kebab right now because that's what it looks like. So I'm going to click on the kebab and click on edit. And here it is, points ungraded. And click on that caret. Oh, I guess not. I thought I could change that. Oh, I can't. Let's see. If I put in 10, will it let me? Oh yeah, I just go ahead and type that in. Sorry. So you just click on this and then just change it. And I click on, and then I can click on save, and that'll change it after the fact. So now it's 10 points. All right. Let's see. That you want to review with students. For instance, you're reviewing some math concepts or facts from a history textbook under create for classwork. For instance, you're reviewing some math concepts or facts. Oh, you just want information for kids to look at. Okay, I get it. That would be resource, actually. So I'll do that one next. So I click on create and I go to, oh, it's material. I'm sorry. Create and material. And then I would put, I don't know, article about dogs. Just randomly doing this. Okay. So I'm going to click on add, and maybe I found it online, or I have it as a PDF on my Google Drive, or it's a file. This could also be a video that you want them to watch. So if I click on link, for instance, if I have a link, all I have to do is copy and paste in the URL here. Okay. So let me show you how that works real quick. I would have to find something real quick. I'm just going to do this article about dogs. Dogs are even more like us than we thought. Okay. By the way, let's say I've already read this article and I know I want to use this link. Did you know that if you right click on a link, you can click on copy link address? You don't have to open it or anything. If you know that you want to use this, I'm going to click on copy link address. I'm going to go back to my classroom, add link, paste, Control V. Okay, there it is. Add link. And there it is. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Let's say that I wanted to copy and paste some text in from another article. I can click on create, click on docs. It takes a minute for it to create the doc. Da, 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 da. Come on, doc. That's taking a really long time. Oh, there was an error. Oh, well, okay. Usually that would work. But what that would do is I would open up this new doc. I would paste in the information, and then it's already connected to the classroom, to this assignment. Let's try that again. You know, I think we're all breaking Google right now. It's rough. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mary Jane. Right, Control V paste things. If you're a fan of keyboard shortcuts, Control X is cut, looks like scissors, sort of. Control C is copy, and Control V is paste. Why isn't Control P paste? Because Control P is print. So, and they wanted to have them all together. Oh, wow, it does not want to work with me right now. So that's what happens. Okay, so then I would click on post. Notice there's no grade over here. This is just something I want them to read. I click on post, and there it is. And they would just click on here. It would open in a new tab. Oh, dog. Okay. Oh, and there's my dog jumping in. Okay. So, kitty. Where can you find the recorded version of this info dense presentation? It's going to be online, hopefully tonight. Okay. So let me see. Okay. So another thing, create. So if you're just going to create a regular assignment, it's sort of the same thing. This is what it looks like. You're going to put in a title and instructions. You can add, again, add is for something you've already created. So it's something in Google Drive that you've already saved there. It's a link. It's a file that you have on your hard drive on your computer, or it's a YouTube video. And yes, Jane had a really good point. You have to go and look at that YouTube video and watch the whole thing and make sure that it's approved. Because a lot of times you can go ahead and send kids to that. And if it's not approved by you or another teacher, they're not going to be able to see it. The approval ribbon is blue. It shows up right underneath the YouTube video. And all you have to do is click on approve. But be careful because you're approving it for the entire district. Okay. Let's meet the dog. You know what? Mr. Bodell, if you come to office hours today, I'll make sure that you meet the dog. Where do we go to see the schedules? Okay. Oh, I'm going to show that really quickly. So we're almost at time and I want to try to answer these questions, but I also really want to show you guys where everything is. So if you go to bit.ly, I'm going to type it into the chat, bit.ly/WCCE learning. We created a website. So this is the home page. There are a couple different ways you can get to the teacher page. You can either click on the teacher link here or up here. And if you go up in the upper right-hand corner and click on professional learning, it takes you straight to the page with not only all the videos and chat transcripts, and in some cases presentations, but also here is the schedule for this week. And then down below that are short descriptions of the sessions. Just so you know, if you're interested in doing any kind of formative assessment online, I'm going to be talking about Google Forms and quizzes and Socrative today, this afternoon. So there it is. And just so you know, if you click on any of the underlined things, that's actually the link to come to the meeting. Okay. All right. So I'm going to check the questions here. Yeah, before you assign a YouTube video, you absolutely should review it. No, you should review it. You can review it. It doesn't have to be reviewed by another teacher. You should review it. Just remember that when you approve a video, you're approving it for the entire district. So be careful. Can we add the bit? You know what? I would love to, Deb, but there is like no room on this PD schedule anymore. So actually, if you want to go to any of the resources, they're right here. And right now they're only up for Monday. I haven't put up yesterday's yet. It takes a little while. Okay, let me see questions. What was the bit.ly thing? The bit.ly thing is the link to the homepage for the e-learning website. Oh, thank you, Mary Jane. Appreciate that. All right.
There was a question about for 3rd to 6th grade, do you make Google Classrooms for each subject or do you put it all in one? I would suggest doing for each one, but that's just my personal preference.
Well, okay, wait. What was the question again? I didn't get
if you have 3rd through 6th grade and you have different subjects, do you suggest having one Google Classroom for every subject or just one for all subjects?
Okay. So it really depends. And I guess I need a little more information about your situation.
Yeah.
If you're teaching several grade levels, but you're teaching different subjects. So that's really up to you.
Yeah.
I like to try to keep everything in one place as much as possible. And it could be that you create one Google Classroom and then you have different sections or different topics for the different grade levels, as well as the different subjects. But you could also do that with just assigning. You don't have to assign everything to all the kids. But it really just depends on how comfortable you feel with this. If I were you, I'd start with one and just parse it out. But there's going to be a lot of trying different things out right now. So I want to tell you that we're here to support you, whatever you decide to do. Just so you guys know that at 10 o'clock, so in about 35 minutes, we have every day at 10 o'clock, except weekends, we have office hours, and people just come with their questions. And sometimes we have like filler information that, we share some kind of tool that we really like using, or questions that have come up in other sessions. And a lot of people have found that office hours with EdTech are very helpful. There are also office hours for different content areas as well. Okay, I'm going through here.
There's one question. Christina had a question about accessing assignments after they've been submitted, and then not seeing the blue ribbon for the YouTube video.
So I asked a question about why you couldn't get into my Google Drive, Google Classroom. Alicia?
Yeah. Say that again. I'm sorry. Oh, hello? Okay. So Christine had a question about students accessing their assignments after they've been submitted. Yes, they can get into them. They may not be able to change them once they've turned them in. Ted, do you want to answer that question?
Yes. So if the student needs to fix it, they have to unsubmit it, fix it, and resubmit it. You'll see the timestamps of everything. So if you really need to have time-sensitive stuff, that's one way to keep control. A lot of times what I do is I just return it to the student if it's not completed with a message saying, you have not completed this, you still have this to do. If you want to get a better grade, please resubmit and leave me a message. And that works really well.
Great. Christine asked, where's the ribbon, or when does it? So you have to be in YouTube, but you also have to be in YouTube using your West Contra Costa unified username and password. So you want to make sure that you're logged into Chrome with your WCC USD information. And then when you go to YouTube, you may or may not see it. You should see it. I've been seeing it on everything, including ones that have already been approved. So it's just a blue box. Actually, I shouldn't say ribbon. It's a blue box right underneath the YouTube screen where the video is. Okay, Olympia, you want to know what's the best way to get student contact info? I would check in with, the student's regular classroom teacher, but you can also look in PowerSchool. Sometimes there is information like emails in PowerSchool I think some schools did a better job of putting that in than other schools. So it really just depends. Can you add yourself as a student in the class? Wow, that's a good question. I've never tried that.
I thought you couldn't because you are already the teacher.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't know.
No, you
I
can't.
think at one point you could, but I think they
I was
took that
bored,
away.
No, you
And then
can't.
another question was,
You
can the
can't. Okay, Ted said you can't. Okay.
and then another question was, can the co-teacher add or post assignments in your Google Classroom?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Pat wanted to know, will the Seesaw trainings be available at other times?
Yeah.
So first of all, they're being recorded. We don't know whether or not they're going to be. I think I answered this earlier. I said that decision is above my pay grade. So I don't know if it will be, but we do have recordings and we have resources. And I have to tell you that Darcy has put together some excellent resources for getting started with Seesaw. And like I said, I think we're going to continue to have our office hours at least. I don't know if that time is going to change because right now it's right smack dab in the middle of the morning. You're welcome, Susan.
Is there a way to return an assignment for correcting?
Wait, say that again?
If there's an assignment that's already been turned in and they need to fix it, is there a way for that teacher to give it back to them so they can fix it?
Ted?
Yes, that's what I had just said before. So
Okay.
once you have corrected all the work, and kids want to return it for a better grade, what I always tell them to do is they'll get it back because you returned it to them. They work on it and they resubmit it. You'll see it in two different places. One is in your in your view all thing, and the other is in the grades. It should say resubmit it, but I always tell them to leave a message. That way I know exactly when they returned it, and it works really well. I just pick a time every day to review just stuff that's been turned in again, to put it back.
Excellent. Thank you, Ted. So just so you guys know, I have resources here. The Google Classroom Help Center is excellent. They will answer all your questions. Seriously, they have so much information. I don't even have to put together that stuff anymore. All I did here was link all of their information. The link to this presentation is right here. So again, that's the same bit.ly. That is it, folks. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to be giving the continuation of this on Friday. And then tomorrow I'm going to be doing Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Slides in an hour. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But thank you so much. I really appreciate your being here. And, let's keep at it. We're going to win. We're going to win. Right. I'm turning off the recording. Thank you, Ted.
No problem.